Daniela, did you see the link? Daniela, did you see the link?
No?
Even I have just reshared it like.
Oh,
10
yes,
minutes
I
ago.
have. At 10:48, I've seen it.
Oh, okay. Becky, I don't know. Becky is just joining. So that is what we are going to look at. Did you successfully reach the assignment? Did you? Daniela, did you try to open it?
No, I've just seen it now.
Okay. Alvin, did you try to open it?
No, I've just in it now. So just open it right now.
So that means when I sent the message, no one saw it. So you have just seen the one that I have just forwarded.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Someone is Samsung. Can you unmute and we talk? Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, maybe you were supposed to click on that on the WhatsApp link, then go to the course, and in the course you choose 2017, and you go to assignment 2, quiz 2 rather. So in quiz 2, this was the assignment question. Could someone read it? Question 2.
Explain the changes faced by Uganda's education system and suggest possible solutions to these challenges.
Yeah, so that was the assignment. So I expected you, when I sent it, I expected you to have read and brainstormed so that by the time we join the class, at least you will be having a clue on what is to be talked about. It is unfortunate that no one looked through or tried to do it. Okay, so explain the possible challenges that is faced by the Ghana education system and suggest possible solutions to these challenges. Okay, I wish someone could take us through. I'm going to choose the lead person to take us through. Is there anyone who would wish to lead us through today before I make the dictatorial choice? Anyone who would wish to take us through? By show of hands. Alvin,
Yes.
you have got the question, yes?
Explain the challenges faced by Uganda's education system and suggest possible solutions to the challenges to these challenges.
Okay, so could you be the facilitator for today, please?
I'll try.
Okay, thank you. You can start.
What am I supposed to do? Okay. Okay, so I was supposed to first define the key terms in the question, explain the challenges faced by Ghana's education system, and the possible solutions. So I think I was supposed to first define education. So anyone maybe help out definition of education.
Okay, we are following.
Okay, education is education is like a service. It's a process of giving systematic the process of giving systematic instruction, especially at school or at university. That's the definition of education.
Mhm.
So according to Uganda's education system, I think so it starts from like when you're not doing like unit stuff, it starts from around I think P1, because I don't think anything below that is unit standards, just like the first time. So from P1 up to the university, that's why you can say you're doing some education. So primary 7 years, secondary 6 years, which is divided into 4 years O level and 2 years A level. Then after we have the university, which is 3 to 5 years. According to this website, just displaying here, it's saying post-secondary education. I think it's the same thing. Okay,
Okay.
so now I think now there we shall now begin putting down the challenges faced by the education system.
Mm.
So
It's okay, you can go on.
yes. Okay, so
You
challenges
you can
facing
ask a friend to help you. You are the facilitator. You can ask a friend to help you, or a friend to, you can ask questions and we answer. We are the students.
oh okay.
Yeah.
So Auntie, yeah, okay, I'm gonna just give out like 2-3 points so like give an idea, then after then I can then ask the question.
Okay.
Okay, so among the challenges we have, for example, in, yeah, inadequate as social, so, okay, inadequate, let me just say inadequate, maybe sports facilities and equipment. So now if you have like inadequate equipment to facilitate sports, like which I meaning you have like students which are just who are just full of fatigue, they just study after study, sleep study, maybe eat a bit. Yeah, so that will just cause like some monotonous stuff, and usually students don't tend to like get information like that. Yeah. So schools have so some schools do not have the resources to buy sports equipment and maintain playing grounds. There has been remarkable change in the sector over. This is according to some website. There's been some remarkable change in the sector over past years, especially since the inception of universal education programs. Yeah. So that's one of the points. And another point, for example, let's say capacity, there's a point called capacity gaps in education. So to explain that, it means teaching methods are too old-fashioned, whereby books are not even like books is the only way to read. Like books are just going to library, opening books, teachers giving notes. That's like basically very old-fashioned. So it's how I was saying right now. I think this is way better digital learning and those things. So inadequate material, old-fashioned methods of teaching are not adequate, but those activities are available. Sorry, but those that are available are not always used effectively. For example, at primary school, sometimes secondary, sometimes also secondary levels, many students leave school without having mastered required levels of literacy and numeracy. Yeah, exactly. This is actually the website I'm getting this from. Yeah, so I've just spoke about capacity.
This is exactly where you're reading from.
Yeah, so I just talk about these capacity gaps in education. This is what I was talking about, whereby teaching methods are very old-fashioned and books are not the books are not the only inadequate. Books are not only inadequate, but those that are available are not effectively used. That's what I'm talking about. So yeah, so let me just have anyone, please, like just give out that sweet first point here. Anyone?
Okay.
This point right here. Right, choose. Okay, let's choose. Urania, please help out.
The others, we can also use the chat so that the lesson is more interactive. Others can be speaking as you are typing in the chat.
Okay, I'm going to move on since no one help out. So inadequate budgetary resources. So yeah, it says there are no adequate resources to meet current and emerging priorities. Public funding public funding to higher education has also been declining over time. A lot of pressure is being put on the existing old facilities in public universities, resulting in poor quality service delivery. Yeah, so this basically, I think I've seen some schools where the funding is very old, it's getting like spoiled. Yeah, those things. And even sometimes even the blackboards, they are really old fashioned. So those things don't really give a good environment for a learner. Yeah, and that's another challenge in the education system. And I'm going to continue. The next one down here is cultural and social and cultural practices. This one here. It says that attitudes and perceptions affect the performance of the sector. Although the cost factor appears to be the most important for boys and girls. Girls drop out of school due to teenage pregnancy, sexual harassment, and early marriages. While for boys, it is indifference to education is the key factor. So this means like social and the cultural practices. So like most schools don't literally give like okay, if some people can be in school but they can be there and are not seeing the importance of why they're in school. They just be you know that it's like a step of life. You have to just go study, get your results, move on. Like so some schools don't really talk about these things of why you're in school, why it's important. So that's also another challenge facing the education system of Uganda. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Thank
moving.
you. I beg to that you pause
Yes,
there,
please.
then another person can go on. Is it okay?
It's fine. Anyone.
Okay, Atiang. Hello, Atiang.
Yeah,
Yes,
there's a
Atiang.
question I would like to pose.
Yes, please.
So now in the social and cultural practices, how would it affect the education? I've not understood that very well.
Okay. Alvin, would you wish to elaborate?
Could you please repeat? I didn't hear very well.
He said, how does social and cultural practices affect education?
Okay. Okay, so okay, there's limited access. There's limited access to education for marginalized groups, including children and disabilities, and those in post-conflict areas. So down there, like that last sentence. So okay, why is it a challenge? So like people drop out of schools, and also like these things of teenage pregnancies and those things, early marriages. It's because like most students don't know don't know the overall value, general value of education. You understand? So like even most of like secondary scholars, like you can be there and I think you're just going to just pick your results, like study, pass, pick your results, maybe please your parents and move on. So we don't know like the key factor, the key what? The key sorry the reason why we're in school. So that's what leads to these are bad acts here. And of course now if you enter into an early marriage, of course it will affect your education. So that's a challenge. That's how it's a challenge. That's the point.
Okay, thank you. Daniela, do you have something to add there? Daniela,
No.
yes?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. So, Atiang, were you answered successfully?
Yes.
Okay, so Under Alvin, well answered. Under social and cultural practices. You see, currently, education is not a social, like everyone is not involved in education because it is to whom it may concern. If I find Alvin he's not studying, or he's taking education as a joke, I do not care because he isn't my son. It is only the mother and the father who are concerned. Sometimes there are some children who drop out of school just because they miss a book. They do not have a book. Some girls, as you read, if you read, you did, girls drop out of school just because they do not have sanitary pads, sanitary towels. So, and yet it is a simple thing to do. So it means socially, people do not value education. And in so doing, the education level in the country have deteriorated. That's one. Two, the government has tried to underlook, to develop the education sector in different regions and neglecting the education sector in other regions. For example, if you go to the north, you may find a district has one school and it is a government school, and the students are very few. And yet it is the only school in the sub-county, maybe on the district, but the students are very few. And when we go to a different, another region, let's say Western, you find there are several schools in one sub-county, and each school has over 1,000 students. So it means the government, socially, the government has not performed what it is expected to do. Like it doesn't take education as a priority. On culture, we have some cultures where girls should get married once they are 13. Or some cultures, for example, in Kasese, the Wakonzo, once a student, a child finishes P7, he's supposed to build his or her own house. And when you build a house, it means responsibilities are piled on you. Now juggling between education and responsibilities. I'm dealing with cultural practices. One is parents or the family or the community thinks that ladies should not access education. They should just go through up to P7, then they go for marriage. We have the Indian community in Uganda. The Indians, very few, unless they are so rebellious, very few go beyond the senior 4. Hope some of you know that. Is there anyone who knows that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is a cultural practice. Marrying your daughter at the age of 13, or marrying a daughter once he or she once she has finished P7, that is a cultural practice. Telling your son to build his own house when he finishes P7, it is a cultural practice. We have the cattle keepers. You know cattle keepers?
Yes.
Members. Daniela, do you know the cattle keepers?
Yes, I do.
So those guys, like I have a friend who teaches in Karamoja. He tells you when he goes to class, the students tells the teacher, first wait, I go, I bring closer the cows, then you can continue. The teacher has to pause the lesson because the students have to first go bring the cows closer to the class. So in other words, the students study while they are grazing. So that is a cultural practice. That means the community does not value education as it is expected. So those cultural and social practices, they do affect the education system very much. And there are some communities, for example, the Pygmies, for them, they don't have the word education in their vocabulary. And so they do not go to school. Education is nonsense. Yes. And other communities that I would not wish to talk about here that do not value education, they only value money. So this has led to It is a big problem to the education system. And so the solution to that is government's awareness and full census where these cultural practices do exist. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please. So I don't know, is Iranya on the call? Iranya, are you on? Iranya,
Yes, sir.
are you on?
Yeah.
Okay, you are going next. Could you give a possible problem that is being faced by the Ugandan education system and how it can be solved?
Inadequate fiscal infrastructure.
Okay.
For example, school blocks, scholastic materials, classroom block, water and sanitation.
Okay. What could be the solution to that?
It's through construction of school blocks, provision of power supplies, then improving in sanitation.
Okay, thank you. So in some places, schools are really in poor states. We must know that. Is there anyone who has an example of a school that he or she visited and was dumbfounded by the structure, by the students, or by the environment where the schools are? Is there anyone of us? Anyone? Okay, I'll leave it to that. But in some places, schools, you find a classroom block is mud, is constructed out of mud, and is grass thatched. And when it does rain, the lessons do not go on. Yeah, some students cross rivers to go to school. And once it is the rainy season, those students do not go to school. Some schools, there are very few schools that do have libraries and very few schools that do have labs. So you find there are some, if you're lucky, a school, especially, remember, Alvin.
Yeah.
How many systems that are, how many education systems are they operating in Uganda? How many programs?
There's UNEP.
No, those are assessment programs.
Primary, secondary, and university.
Those are levels. Daniela, do you know how many programs are running?
I'm also not sure, sir.
Okay. Let us see here. Alvin, which school are you?
I'm in St. Peter's, SS Nalia.
Nalia, okay. Is it Spena?
Yes.
Okay. Atiang, which school are you?
St. Mary's Girls, Madera.
Okay, yes. Which school is Iranya?
I'm in Chitand.
Chitante Hill?
Yeah.
Okay. Muiza, which school?
Spena.
Spena. Okay. So, we are joined by Samsung. Okay. There's in Uganda, we have two major programs running. One is free education and the other is private sponsored education. Hope you are aware of that. Are you aware?
Yes.
So is especially in government sponsored schools. When you're introducing this, the introduction to this question, should not miss that. For example, we have UPE, we have USE, and we have UPOLET. So those three sponsorship programs are under free education that is provided by the government. Then the other form of education in Uganda is the private, where the parents pay fees for their children. But on government programs, the parents do not pay. They only provide scholastic materials. Then we have the two kinds of schools. How many types of schools do we have? Daniela?
Secondary schools and primary schools.
No, let's say, how many types of primary schools do we have?
Private and
Yes, private and government. Is Spain a private or government?
Private.
Private. Chitante, is it private or government?
Government aided.
St. Mary, is it private or government?
It's government.
Thank you. So those are the two kinds. So in private schools, the things are quite different from government schools, the way they operate. Even if it is the same curriculum, same content, but the way things are done are quite different. So a student who has started from a private school, there is something that he misses from a government school. And a student from a government school, there is something he also misses from a private school. Hope you know that.
Yes.
yes.
And you also know that there are some schools that operate under day, some operate under boarding, some operate under day and boarding. You know those three kinds of schools. Yeah?
Yes.
So those are some of the things that you put in the introduction. In the introduction, you give facts about the government, the system. So the challenges we are talking here, the challenges we are talking about, they are the general challenges. Leave you being in Maryhill and you being in Chitante. So there are some schools that do not have only one block, and in class, when it rains, there are no classes. If not, you have to study under a tree. So those are the major challenges that the government has underlooked the significance of education system in Uganda by allowing some schools to operate without the standard operating procedures. I'm not talking about SOPs. I'm talking about the terms and conditions. Like a school should have this, should have this, should have this. So schools do not have those, except a few. Yeah. So those are the challenges. And one of the major challenges that has brought all those, it is the government policy. Alvin, are you following?
Yes, sir.
The government policy, one, it is allowing the two schools to operate. They are rather private and government. Two, it has free education, it has private sponsored education. Three, it has day, it has boarding, it has day and boarding. For example, I wish to talk to Samsung. Could you unmute, please? Samsung, someone using Samsung. The person is not on. Daniela, could you unmute? Yes. Daniela.
Yes.
Are you aware that the government pays fees for some learners in the country?
Yes.
And are you aware that some learners pay for themselves fees to learn?
Yes.
So do you expect the two to get the same education? Sorry?
I think it depends on like the place where they study from. Like, okay, let's say a person who pays for themselves fees, and maybe they go to like okay, I expect them to have to get the same type of education.
Alvin, do you have the same thinking?
No.
Okay, please, could you say something?
Yeah, someone who's being paid by the government. I say I probably get like something different from someone who's paying their own fees, because you know, like the government pays for you, you're definitely going to be probably in a UP school, and the services are not the same as for private school.
Okay, Daniela.
Yes.
Daniela.
Yes.
In actual sense, a person who pays his own fees and a person who studies for free, in actual sense, in Ugandan situation, do they get the same education? Do they get the same quality?
Yes.
Okay. Secondly, Alvin.
Yes, sir.
Alvin, you say these people do not get the same education, yes?
Yeah.
Do they do the same final exams?
Yeah.
So what is the fate? Who performs better than the other?
No one's paying for himself.
Sorry?
No one's paying for himself. Okay, now I'm
Thank
there.
you.
Okay, I'm not confused because if you're doing that, okay. Okay, I think the one
No.
is in the who's paying for. Sorry.
Okay, let me clear it now here, yeah? Are you listening?
Yes.
We have a school that is owned by the government, yes? But the students in that school, they pay fees. Are you getting that?
Yes.
Yeah.
For example, Gayaza.
Yes.
It is a government school, but the students pay fees.
Mm.
Now, that's one. Two, we have a school that is owned by an individual and the students pay fees. Or an individual, it may be an organization, and the students pay fees. Let's say Chitende. Are you getting that?
Yes.
Yes.
And we have a school that is owned by the government and the learners do not pay any coin. Are you getting that?
Yes.
So a learner who does not pay any coin, does he get the same quality education and does he perform the same way as the student who pays for himself fees? Do they?
Okay. Okay. If you're paying for yourself fees, like you should get.
Mm.
Okay, now. Okay, it's like okay, you said before like if someone being paid for the government fees and the one who's paying fees for themselves is getting the same education. You might think no, because if the government is paying for your fees, you're definitely in a government aided school. So it's like you're getting like government, how do you call it, government services. So and you know those services are not always like perfect. Yeah.
So yes, that is correct. When you read in the papers when results are out, the schools that pay where students pay fees, they are always topping.
Yes.
And the schools where the government schools where students do not pay any coin, you find they are fighting for the last position in the country.
Yes.
So that is the difference. That the system, the government policy has allowed different forms of modes of schools to operate within one system. That is the reason why, by the way, of recent when the government wanted to lock down the country, it looked at options. We can't allow, if we allow schools to operate, we have boarding. So the boarding people were saying later allow the boarding schools to operate. But now the question came, how about the day schools? They make dormitories and they start hosting students. But how about students who have been paid by the government? Who will pay the boarding fees? You understand that?
Yes.
Yes.
So it means the government policy has left out a lot to be desired in that the quality of education that is being provided within one system, within a single system, is not the same. And so people do not get the same quality education. Yeah.
Yes.
So even at the end, even if these people do the same final exams, and the people in good schools, in good government, but privately sponsored students perform well, and finally they take up education to be serious. Because you have a lot of career guidance, you are exposed to lots of stuff, and someone who pays for himself does not get that chance. So the government policy provides for a variety of things in the same system, and those things, those variety opportunities do not allow for equity or equality in accessing the education system. Okay. Okay. The other government policy is, yes, please.
Won't that depend on someone's knowledge?
Okay. Atiang,
Yes.
I'm listening.
I'm just like, won't it depend on someone's knowledge? Because there are some people like if you're being paid by the government, you can also put in more efforts since you're getting it at a free cost. You can also be like, let me work hard so that I can also pass.
Yes, that is very true. But out of 100, how many will do that?
The chance is just that there will be few.
You find a school has 100 students, only 2 are in second grade. If a whole district like in Toroko cannot get a first grade, and in Toroko there are only government schools. Are you getting what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
But in Kampala, if a school has two centers, and all the students in those 2 centers, they are over 1,000, and all of them are in first grade. Can you compare the 2 schools? Yeah, are you getting me?
Yes.
Okay. Your point was correct, but what is the probability of all of them passing, or all of them following the same snake dog that you have given? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So we get back to maybe this. Is there anyone who would wish to give a problem? Any problem? Samsung, you haven't said anything since we started. Samsung? Okay, Iranya. Iranya, you gave, yes. Iranya, for you gave 1. Vitalis. Vitalis? Atiang?
Yes.
Could you give a problem and its solution?
So there is this one of inadequate sports facilities and equipment.
Okay.
You may find that schools do not have the resources to buy the sports equipment and maintain playing grounds. You may find that there is a school. Of course, the structures are just squeezed up. There's limited land, so there will be no ground for the students to have some sports activities. So that can also limit them.
Yes, that is correct. Now, we had the previous point of government policy. Now this comes in the sports facilities. There are good private schools that have sports facilities well maintained. And most times in Uganda situation, private schools do not have space. Do you believe that?
Yes.
Leave alone schools, leave alone missionary schools, and leave alone well-set schools, well-set private schools. But I'm talking about these moderate private schools. They do not have space. Sometimes the staff room becomes a classroom. A laboratory is a dining room. Yeah?
Yes.
So there are some schools where they have one pitch. It is 200 meters it is 100 meters by 100. And in that pitch, there's football, there's a struggle for basketball, there is a struggle for netball, there's a struggle for cricket, and a struggle for rugby. So they make a timetable. Today it is rugby, tomorrow it is football, the other day it is this. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
But government schools have facilities, they have the space, they have the land. So that's what I'm saying. that schools, because these facilities are expensive to maintain and start up, some schools cannot manage starting up or maintaining these facilities. This has impacted negatively towards the quality of education that students receive, given the fact that sports is part of better performance in schools. Schools that perform in schools that perform well in sports, you find they perform very well in academics, given the fact that they balance the two. Yeah. Because sports helps to refreshen one's mind after it has gotten tired. So it is like a refreshment. So once you go into sports, you get back online. And so what is the solution to that? The solution is the government should sponsor schools with equipments and facilities so that these schools can redirect their meager resources to other things once the government is sponsoring the sports department. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Daniela? Yes, Daniela.
Yes.
Please, could you give one problem and solution?
Inadequate infrastructure in schools. Like, for example, there are some schools that don't have buildings, and like the students learn like outside. And now let's say if there's bad weather, there would not be any classes in like a day. So yeah.
Okay, infrastructure. You know, these points, they are intertwined. How can you have structures when you do not have space? You find a school, it is on one plot, and on that one plot, it must have all the senior 6 classes, all the 4 or 5 labs, all the sports facilities. Yeah, it must have a dormitories, it must have a staff room, and it must have a library, maybe a DH or an
I'm talking about like
you find the school does not have a structure. Pardon, please.
I was talking about like, let's say the schools in like rural areas that don't have enough money to put like infrastructure. And for example, there are some schools that don't have like, let's say roofs, like roofing material and that stuff. So that's what I was saying.
Oh, so you're talking about finance, unlimited financial resources. For example, in government schools, the government pays, are you aware the government pays, is it 4,000 shillings per student every day? Yeah?
Yes.
So that is what it pays. And that money is not enough to run all the school activities. That is the reason why students in government schools, they are told to pay PTA, maybe of 50, or sometimes some schools go up to 100,000. And that one still remains not enough. So the school has little resources that it has to divide amongst different demands. It has to pay salary. So when you say limited resources, that is required to pay salary for teachers, to pay electricity, to pay water, to pay for infrastructure, maybe a construction fee. So you find the little resource, the little money that is available is taken up by a few things. Maybe it goes to paying teachers, and now the other things are neglected. So what is the solution? The solution is the government should come up to help and burden or to help with a financial hand to these schools, maybe in form of paying teachers or in form of constructing for these schools. There are some schools where you find there are 2 groups of teachers. Some are on government payroll, the others are on PTA or board. So those 2 do not receive the same salary. And those two, the salary do not come from the same source. The government people are paid by the government, and board people are paid by the board. And they receive, the board people receive less, government people receive more. And the board people can be dismissed at any time the administrator wishes. So that is when the government comes in to lay a financial helping hand to these schools. The schools can stabilize and go on to performing, thus improving on the level of the education system in the country. Okay, with that, is there any question? Any question, please? Yes, please.
Like in case the government has supported the school,
Yes.
and maybe the school decides to embezzle that money,
Yes.
how will it be refunded? Or how will they help that school again?
Okay, that is true. So that is one of the solution of the problems. Misappropriate of funds, misuse of school fees or school money. However, to answer you, this money is not embezzled by the school, but embezzled by an individual. Are you following that, Young?
Yes.
The government can give a school a renovation fund of maybe 100 million, and the teachers not receive a single coin. But the head teacher and the deputy, or maybe the bursar, they pocket it all. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
There are some schools where students pay fees. Some pay, I think it has ever happened to some, that the students pay registration fee, and now the head teacher runs away with the money. Have you ever heard of such a scenario?
Yes.
Yes, so who pays? Isn't it the person who takes the money?
It's the person who takes the money.
But is it always refunded? Is it always brought back or recovered? No. So it means the government should put in place a system that makes sure that this money is not misused. Sometimes the government can send money, can decide to give a school money, and that money, it gives a school 100 million, and the school only receives 20 million. The other 80 million have gone to officials. Hope you are aware of that.
Yes.
Yes. So that is one of the challenges that is being faced by the education system in Uganda, that there is no streamlined system that manages school funds. A head teacher is given money to pay the teachers their salary, and the teacher decides to give it to eat the whole amount, and the teacher does not receive any. And when a teacher demands for his monthly salary, he or she is fired. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Any other question? Alvin, do you have a question? Iranya, do you have a question?
No, sir.
Daniela, could you be having any?
No.
Okay. Atiang, hope that was the only question. Do you have any other?
No.
Okay. So please, when we meet again, do quiz 3. Are we understanding?
Yes.
Yes, quiz 3. Assess the impact of decentralization on the development of Uganda. Please do that assessment 3, so that you send me the answers or the assignments by Wednesday, please. Now that you have missed this one, please send me that assignment and I mark it. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yeah. So you still use the same link that I sent. I'm going to resend it again. You go to quiz 3. You know, this is quiz 1. This is quiz 2. Quiz 1, let me show you. That is quiz 1. Yes. Then you click on this arrow, quiz 2, quiz 3. Could someone read it?
Assess the impact of decentralization on the development of Uganda.
Yes, that is the quiz. Please do it and submit it within the system. I will mark it by Wednesday. And with that, I beg to stop from here and have a blessed evening.
Thank you, teacher. You too.
Welcome, please.